Welcome back, guys. So today I've got a little bit of interesting news for all you old school gamers out there. Just like Nintendo with their classic systems, Sega with their announcement of their mini Genesis, SNK with the Neo Geo Classic, Atari with the VCS, we don't even know exactly what that is yet, ColecoVision, all these retro companies bringing back old school goodness for everybody who's nostalgic for it. You know, obviously it all turns into money. They want to make that money, but we have another company jumping into the fray, reaching up to grab our hard-earned money and tugging those heartstrings of nostalgic gamers around the world. And that, my friends, is Intellivision. A new Intellivision console has been announced. Crazy stuff, right? Intellivision, going way back, late 70s, early 80s, was a direct competitor with Atari. I didn't grow up with Intellivision. I grew up with Atari and then NES, so on and so forth. But I have been exposed to Intellivision games in the past through compilations, collections, and whatnot. I believe there was even a flashback console at one point. But what this entails is a new company that is comprised of people from the original team involved in Intellivision, headed by their president, Tommy Tallarico. So Tommy Tallarico, if that name sounds familiar, it sounded familiar to me right away as well, due to a couple reasons. He's been in the game industry for many years, music, development, all that good stuff. He heads up Video Games Live, which does, orchestrated video game music in front of audiences and all that good stuff. But I recognized his name from him being on G4 back in the day. If you remember G4 TV, it was pretty awesome. Used to be Tech TV, Screensavers was an awesome show, and then it turned into Attack of the Show, and they had a lot of other video game and tech related shows. And he was on a few of them, at least from what I remember. That's where my first exposure to him was Tech TV, G4 TV era with some shows he was on. Pretty cool stuff. Really wish those, that channel would come back. Attack of the Show was pretty cool, right? At least to me it was. A lot of those people, what are they doing now? I mean, some of them have moved on to other things. Olivia Munn, which, okay, whatever. Enough said about that. Kevin Pereira, he's on like True TV on some hokey show, Hack My Life or something like that. Definitely could see him coming back. All these other companies bringing this retro goodness back. Why can't we get G4 and Attack of the Show back, right? We can only hope. I enjoyed that channel and those shows anyway, but it is what it is. So what Tommy and some of these original people from Intellivision are doing, they're reintroducing a new console. Back to the point, right? This new console, not a lot of information yet, but there still is some interesting little tidbits that they've talked about. Will be released in the near future sometime. Who knows? But right now what they have, if you go to their website, you can sign up for a little newsletter thing. First 100,000 people, I have no clue what number they're at yet. There's nothing to say that they've reached that number or what number they're at. But the first 100,000 people who sign up for that newsletter will be notified sometime in the future for an opportunity to buy like a special limited edition version of the console that won't be available to anybody else. So that's kind of neat that they're doing that. So link will be in the description if you want to jump on that. Like I said, I don't know what number they're at as of yet, but that could be kind of cool, right? A lot of people definitely nostalgic about Intellivision. Not really myself, but I do find this news pretty interesting and intriguing. I'm really curious to see what this system really is. They talked about a few things, saying specifically that they're not in the market to compete with Nintendo, Sony, or Microsoft. Nothing like that. That they want to do something new and bring it back. So Tommy has the rights to the system, to the old games, and all that stuff. He did have a stake in that company from the estate that owned Intellivision. So it's going to be really interesting to see what he does with it. From my understanding, he's pretty passionate about Intellivision, very passionate about the game industry in general. But passion doesn't always mean quality and greatness, but we can only hope. We'll have to wait and see. They also announced on this website if you peep it out, they have a little link to a live feed that they're going to be doing, like a little live Q&A. That's going to be on the 31st, so just a day away. So take a look at that. It's going to be noon Pacific time through that link, however they're going to do it. Don't know what kind of questions they're going to answer, what kind of information they're going to share. Really curious to see what's going to happen with that, because they also do state that come October 1st that they're going to give out the details concerning the system. So that kind of baffles me a little bit. What are they really going to share with this Q&A, especially when they're kind of hyping up this October 1st, 2018 date in which they're going to be giving more information? So what are they comfortable with sharing now? Do they even have much information to share now? I mean, when you read through the press release and all that stuff, there's really not a lot of info or details to learn about yet. Just more so stuff about Tommy, the history of Intellivision, and all that good stuff. So I'm really curious to see what this is going to turn into. These other companies, you know, Nintendo's done pretty well with what they've done. A lot of people love the little classic systems that they've put out. A lot of other companies have kind of had mixed, you know, feels from people with like games. And a lot of other things like that. Some people love them, some people hate them, some people just don't care. But definitely there is a market for this stuff. And this past couple years, it's just been insane with all this retro gaming boom, in a sense. You know, the people who grew up with these things, you know, they're in their mid-30s to early 40s, you know, when they were kids when these systems came out. So it kind of makes sense, you know, a lot of these people are in their prime of, you know, their careers and stuff like that, and they have money to spend. So definitely that's what these companies are looking at. These people who grew up with these systems, they're in a time in their life that a good portion of them have a nice little chunk of discretionary income, and we can grab that from them by reintroducing stuff from their youth. Now, to me, not every company has succeeded with that. Some have done better than others. And I'm definitely open and welcome to seeing what a lot of these companies have to offer. But I feel, you know, the quality's got to be there. The content's got to be there. If it's just simply going to be a mini classic system like what Nintendo's done, that's cool too, I guess. But with the way this sounds, it sounds like it's a whole new system, a whole new console, and they're going to be reintroducing a lot of things. So not many details to really figure out what's going on. I guess in the Q&A, people could ask, hey, is this going to be a mini classic edition type system, or is this going to be a full-on new console? The way it sounds is that it's going to be a new console. Like I said, we'll have to wait and find out, but definitely there's going to be a lot of people who scrutinize this, who kind of, you know, are skeptical with what they're doing. Tommy Tallarico being in this business for a long time doesn't necessarily mean that he's going to be able to pull things together and reintroduce something awesome. Because this is a whole other facet of, you know, if you're a game developer, you've had firsthand experience making games, but not necessarily putting out systems. So it's going to be interesting to see how this is handled, where it goes from here, what other companies are going to jump into the fray. You know what I mean? We've had the C64 Mini and all that craziness, but at the same time, a lot of these companies that have been, I don't want to say forgotten, because they have not been forgotten, but they have left the market, or they have done different things in their markets versus what Nintendo has continued to do. You know, Microsoft jumping into the mix with console gaming, Sony jumping into it in the 90s and all that good stuff, and a lot of companies just kind of disappearing, going into game development or going bankrupt or disappearing in general. It's going to be very interesting to see, you know, what happens, what other, you know, things could come out of this. So I'm definitely curious, definitely interested to see what happens and what comes of this. You know, it's a crazy time to be a gamer. It's a good time to be a gamer. It's an interesting time, I think. It's all about that money, though. These companies want our money, so that is for sure the motive behind these things. So definitely let's talk about it. Let's see what happens. Let's check out that Q&A. Let's wait until October 1st to get more information on this. Hopefully this is handled a little better than maybe the Atari VCS. Hopefully it's not something where they ask for money ahead of time. You know, let's just wait and see. So I appreciate you guys stopping in. Smash that like button, hit that notification bell, do all that good stuff. I really do appreciate it. And with that said, guys, I will catch y'all next time. Drop a comment down below. I read all the comments, respond to as many of them as I can, and I will catch y'all next time. Peace out. Bye-bye. Boom.